Yeah, so if you got a bunch of tool batteries sitting around not really doing anything when you're not using them, guess what? Yeah, you can actually get this product and turn them into quite a capable power station. So, yes, these things have been around for a while, but they haven't been any good, right? It's kind of been the whole issue. Modified sine wave, the USB, we're lucky to get like 2 amps out of, right? They were almost useless. But guess what? These things are starting to get pretty darn good now. And yeah, basically you can have like a nice functional little compact tiny power station with actually some pretty good specs now. And by the way, these things are like less than 50 bucks. So actually this is like the cheapest way to really get into a power station, if you do happen to already have some of these batteries. And this particular product you can actually get for all of the top 4 brands. I'm showing the Ryobi version here. Basically, you can tell the difference is just the different colors to match the other brands. But yeah, you can get it from Milwaukee, DeWalt, and Makita as well. And so, when I say that this thing can turn your tool battery into a power station, what are we talking about? Like, what kind of specs does this thing have? Well, how about a 240 watt pure sine wave inverter? And by the way, it's actually at 120 volts as well. So not 110, the full power, which is going to be great if you're using like, say, like a corded Dremel, right? You're gonna get the most performance out of it at 120 volts, right? And it's just it should be 120 volts, right? So this is perfect for a ton of different small devices, right? Things you got to charge up that don't necessarily have USB, or just a lot of portable small appliances. 240 watts is plenty for that, right? And now, of course, you're not going to be powering a toaster, coffee maker, hair dryer, or a vacuum with this thing, but and then you really can't call something a power station if you can't charge it back up, right? And so this is really cool, the fact that you can actually charge these tool batteries with this product as well. And it's USB-C. And guess what? It's 140 watt bidirectional USB-C they put on this thing. So this is actually incredible, especially if you're using it with the smaller battery. Now they don't say any like restrictions or anything in here. I actually kind of wonder about this, like, because you can get some of these brands, you can get like a 2 amp hour battery, right? Which at 18 volts is only 36 watt hours. So that would be like, what would that be, like 3-4 C rate? So I don't know how that would work. Maybe they do limit. I don't know. You may, maybe you might not want to use one of the smaller batteries with this thing. Maybe use at least like the 4 amp hour. And some of these brands too, they do have larger batteries for their bigger tools and stuff, which would actually, it's still going to be pretty small and compact for a power station, right? I mean, but yeah, 8 amp hour, 9 amp hour. I think some of them even have 12 amp hour batteries. That all, they all have like the same adapter, right? So they all fit this. So that would give you, a lot of capacity to work with as well. Mm-hmm. And it's not just, really the charging. I mean, the 240 watt inverter, if you had that maxed out, can you output USB, the USB-C as well at the same time? I don't know. Because, in theory, this thing, all the output ports in total, it totals over 400 watts, right? So I don't know how that would work with the smaller batteries. But if you have at least like the 4 amp hour batteries, this thing, you'll be able to get some power out of this thing, right? And now, one thing to note is that there is no pass-through charging. So that's kind of the one limitation with this, right? If you're charging this thing, via the USB-C, you can't output power at the same time. And there is a small display, a digital display. Actually, it's not that small. It's actually a decent display with the watts. Gives you a little, battery level indicator on there as well, and just also, which output ports you're using. So, it's not even just like the little green dots or something, right? I mean, this actually it is going to feel like a little power station. And then of course the best part is the LED light, right? This this is a really great panel light. And as you can see, you can actually like tilt it up and actually aim it as well. So this is something, you know, I think every power station should have. And it's actually amazing how many power stations don't have an LED light. And if they do, it's like some kind of, you know, crappy spotlight. Now this is a nice big panel light and 3 brightness levels as well, with the brightest one being 600 lumens. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of light, right? That'll definitely light up a room. And with this having USB-C as the charger, the charging method, you know, you can get a solar panel, right? You do have some portable solar panels will give you USB-C outputs, which means you can actually make this thing into like a little solar generator as well. How cool is that? Now, you know, there are some kind of things to mention here. You know, really the biggest downside here is the fact that this product is only USB and the AC inverter. I don't know how hard it would be to put a regulated 12 volt on this thing. This thing would be amazing if it had that, right? But yeah, so that's kind of the one disappointment, you could say. But yeah, you can still do a lot with this thing. And even if you had to use the inverter, you know, with some kind of adapter, DC adapter, you know, 240 watt probably doesn't use a whole lot of power on its own. So maybe it's not the end of the world. You know, another thing to mention, you know, this might be obvious, maybe it's not. You know, when you order this thing, there's no battery with it, right? You got to have your own batteries. So, and in fact, they don't give you the wall charger either, you know. So yes, this thing's capable of charging at 140 watts from USB-C. But if you don't have one of those, and those things are like actually really expensive, aren't they? Then, you know, you're not going to be able to charge it up that fast. You know, most people have like a 20 watt wall charger, right? So, but maybe that might almost be better if you have one of the smaller batteries, right? 2 amp hour battery. You might want to use, you might want to use a low powered charger anyway.